welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. And on the line with us is Steve Phillips. Steve Phillips is the founder of Democracy in Color. He's a civil rights lawyer and senior fellow with the Center for American Progress. DemocracyInColor.com is the website. He's also the author of the book Brown is the New White, How the Demographic Revolution Has Created a New American Majority. And you can tweet him at Steve P. Tweets. Hey, Steve, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me on.
It's always a pleasure. So you guys are working on a plan that involves 17 states and changing the political contours of our country. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we released a plan called Return of the Majority, a roadmap for taking back our country. And so it's designed as both a challenge to the Democrats and progressives around how they spend their money and resources, as also as a resource to the resistance across the country, people trying to fight back against this administration. And so the essence of what we're doing is trying to channel the energy and the resources to the right places and people. And we're highlighting in particular the 17 states that were decided by single digits in this last election. We're calling those the Frontline States, and really lifting up groups in those states, calling Frontline Freedom Fighters, who are doing tangible, effective voter mobilization work to increase the turnout of voters of color and progressive whites. And our analysis is that the way to win is to increase the participation of those kinds of voters, rather than to spend time in kind of an existential crisis trying to chase the people who may have defected to the current White House occupant.
Right. And in a way, this is kind of pushing back against the use of race by the right-wingers, going back to Nixon's Southern strategy, is it not?
Yeah, well, the irony is that our strategy is actually a Southern strategy. And so Nixon's approach was to try to use racial resentment and to drive a wedge and to inflame the opposition of more conservative and fearful whites. Whereas the reality is that the South and Southwest are actually home to large numbers of eligible non-voting people of color and progressive whites.
And so the job here is to, and by the way, the states, if any of our listeners or viewers live in any of these states, this is something to perk your ears up about. Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas, Virginia, and Wisconsin. If I have the list right, Steve?
Yes.
Okay. So if somebody lives in one of those states and they want to participate, they go to your website, democracyincolor.com, and do what?
So we're listing out groups in those states. We're trying to connect people wherever they are. So part of the issue is people in California and New York, how can they be most helpful? And so it's to be able to find and channel support to efforts in those states. And so it's kind of like in the ways in the 60s, people sent support to the South. That was the front lines of the civil rights struggle. It's a similar situation now. And so can we be able to organize wherever you are, like in 2004, MoveOn did these bake sales for democracy. Recently, they had the ACLU coffee day. You could buy coffee. Some of the money would actually go to ACLU. So if you're in wherever state you're in the country, organize support in that area, but then send it to the front lines. Groups like Texas Organizing Project, One Arizona, New Georgia Project, they should become the groups that we try to channel resources and support to so they can do the work to increase the voter participation so we can actually flip those states, because the numbers are there to be able to flip them.
So are you suggesting that rather than creating a new infrastructure, what you all want to do is be supportive of and funnel people into the existing infrastructure in each one of these states that espouses progressive values and brings together people of all races?
Exactly. And so there are groups now. So in Arizona, there's a coalition of 12 different groups, community-based organizations, mainly run by people of color, that did 150,000 voter registrations, mainly Latino voters, in 2016. that kind of group could use more support to go to a larger scale. We're drawing from UC Berkeley professor Lisa Garcia Bedoya put forward this concept on the civic web, where you have rooted in communities, you have paid staff working with community groups who then recruit volunteer neighborhood leaders, volunteer block captains, and in that process, you're able to reach large numbers of voters and increase voter turnout. That model is much more effective than the Democratic approach of just running television ads all the time. So we're fostering that. Take these groups to scale. The Democratic Party should also be investing in these states, building up their operation, working in partnership with community-based organizations. And that's the way to go about taking back the country, not going by contortions to try to win back Trump voters.
Yeah, amen. We're talking with Steve Phillips, founder of Democracy in Color, the website democracyincolor.com. You can tweet him at Democracy in Color or at Steve P. Tweets. And Steve, the Democratic Party is in a bit of, I'm not sure if crisis is the right word, but let's say transition right now. And in fact, you know, Tom Perez, the new chair of the Democratic Party, just basically asked for everybody's resignation letter, and they're kind of rebooting that. You're talking about working with and through the Democratic Party. Are you getting any signals from them that they're up for this? I mean, this is kind of the antithesis of what happened over the last 8 years, but it does harken back in many ways, it seems, to Howard Dean's 50-state strategy.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think that Tom is open and interested in moving the party in a new direction. I think it's pretty clear that this obsession with 30-second television ads, trying to win back the moderate to conservative swing voters, doesn't work. It isn't working. So he has expressed a commitment to and an orientation to try to move more in that direction, putting the party on the ground, working with community organizations, increasing turnout. On the House Representatives side, it's actually been very encouraging initial feedback that under Ben Ray Lujan and Dan Senna, the executive director, they've hired 20 full-time staff and put them into districts across the country already, the earliest they've ever done that. They have 9 people on the ground in Georgia's sixth seat, the open seat Tom Price had, to increase voter turnout and participation. So that shows a shift in strategic thinking, followed by a shift in allocation of strategic resources.
Remarkable. So what can people do who may be listening or watching right now to you know, help out, basically? What would you like people to do in response to listening to this program?
So I would say 2 to 3 things, and they're captured in our report, which is available on our website, democracyincolor.com. One is, ideally, people should be trying to sponsor or create like a sister organization relationship with one of these frontline freedom fighter organizations in Florida, and Georgia, and Texas, and Arizona, and North Carolina, to be able to build a relationship, support them, organize support where you are locally. You could do, you know, video chats with them and house parties where you are. That would be a critical thing to be able to do. The other is to look at upcoming races in those states that are very significant. Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum running for governor of Florida. Georgia House Minority Leader Stacey Abrams may run for governor of Georgia. She'd be the first Black woman ever to be elected governor in this country. So get behind those candidates, get behind them early. And then at our Democracy in Color site, we're going to be creating a fund that could be a funnel. If you want us to do the work for you, you can contribute to that, and we'll move money out to these groups and these campaigns.
That is absolutely great. Steve Phillips is the founder of Democracy in Color. Democracyincolor.com is the website. He's also the author of a brilliant book, Brown is the New White, how the demographic revolution has created a new American majority. And you can tweet him at Steve P. Tweets. Steve, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me out.
Great talking with you, and I wish you the very, very best. It's great work that you're doing. We'll be back.